A very pleasant good morning to you all. I am very happy to meet you again through this online class after the long break. So far we have learned the second lesson, optics. Up to what we have learned, have you remember? Scattering of light, is it? So scattering of light means what? What do you mean by scattering of light? When the sunlight enters into the atmosphere, it will be refracted in different directions because of the air particles are present in the atmosphere. Okay, so all the air particles are there in the earth atmosphere. When the sunlight enters into the earth atmosphere, it will be refracted the light in different directions. That is called as the scattering of light. And also we have learned the two different types of scattering. What are the two different types of scattering? Yes, elastic scattering and the inelastic scattering. What do you mean by elastic scattering? When the scattered beam of light, the energy is different from the incident beam of light. That is called as the elastic scattering. Okay, the energy is same means that is called as the elastic scattering. The energy is different means that is called as the inelastic scattering. Okay, so and inelastic scattering can be divided into four types. What are the different types of inelastic scattering? Rayleigh scattering. The second one is Meese scattering. Okay, in these two already we learned. The third and fourth today we are going to learn. Okay, so in that Rayleigh scattering we learned already. What do you mean by Rayleigh scattering law? Okay, that is a very important definition. Have you remember what is Rayleigh scattering law? The amount of scattering of light is inversely proportional to fourth power of its wavelength. Amount of scattering of light is inversely proportional to 1 by lambda power 4. Okay, this lambda denotes wavelength. Okay, lambda denotes wavelength. So here this inversely proportional, what's the meaning of inversely proportional? The wavelength is more means the scattering power is less. Okay, that is the Rayleigh scattering law. Okay, and the second one we studied what do you mean by Meese scattering. Okay, so in that we learned what is the reason of the white appearance of the cloud, is it? The appearance of the cloud is due to Meese scattering. Okay, the scattering of light due to the particles present in the atmosphere like water droplets and also the pollen grains and the dust particles. Okay, so the Meese scattering is possible. And now today we are going to learn the next type. What is that? Tyndall scattering. Okay, see, when the sunlight enters into the dusty room through the window, we can see the path of light. See, the path of light is visible to us. Okay, so how we can see the path of light? Because here many dust particles are present here. Okay, so this effect is called as the Tyndall effect or Tyndall scattering. Okay, when the sunlight enters into the dusty room through the window, we can see the path of light. The path of light is visible to our eye. Okay, so this effect is called as the Tyndall scattering. Okay, so now we can see the definition. What is meant by Tyndall scattering? The scattering of light rays by the colloidal particles in the colloidal solution. So here what is the colloidal particles here? All the dust particle is considered as the colloidal particles in the colloidal solution. Okay, the air fully it will be considered as the colloidal solution. Okay, so colloid means it is a microscopically small substance. It is dispersed throughout the whole solution. That is called as the colloidal solution. Example we can say, what's the example? Milk is the example of colloidal solution. Then smoke is the example of colloidal solution. And also we can say many examples for this colloidal. Okay, so colloidal solution. So Tyndall scattering is nothing but the scattering of light rays by the colloidal particles in the colloidal solution. Okay, that is called as the Tyndall scattering. Have you understand what is Tyndall scattering? The scattering of light rays by the colloidal particles in the colloidal solution is called as the Tyndall scattering. Now we can see the Tyndall scattering by the simple experiment. Okay, here I have taken 2 cups. 1 cup I filled with the pure water. Here I have taken the colloidal solution. Just I mixed some drops of Dettol there. So it will be considered as the colloidal solution. Now we can see the path of light through this two curves. Okay. So here if I am lighting this, what you can observe here. So in this pure water, there will be no dust particles are present. So there is no scattering is present here. But here in this solution, the colloidal solution, we can see the green color light. The path of light is visible to us. Okay. So this is the simple experiment of Tyndall scattering. Okay. Have you all understand? Next one we are going to learn Raman scattering. Okay. So in the year of 1928, so C.V. Raman discovered this type of scattering that is called as the Raman scattering. Okay. So what he observed means, so when a beam of monochromatic light is passed through a gas, liquid or transparent solid, the path of light rays are scattered. See here monochromatic, what do you mean by monochromatic? The light rays will have a single wavelength. Okay, a simple frequency, a single wavelength, that is called as the monochromatic beam of light. Okay, when a beam of monochromatic light is passed through a gas, liquid or transparent solid, the path of light rays are scattered. Okay, so that is called as the Raman scattering. Okay, that is called as the Raman scattering. Listen here. When a beam of monochromatic light is allowed to pass through a gas or liquid or a transparent solid, we can see the scattered beam of light here. Okay. So in that scattered beam of light, we can see the different lines. Okay. So what are the lines are there? So here the incident light, the frequency is same as that of the lines, that is called as the Rayleigh line. Okay. For example, the incident beam of light, the frequency is maybe 50 Hz. Okay, so here the scattered beam of light, so this line also the same frequency 50 Hz is scattered here, means that line is called as the Rayleigh line. Okay, so the incident beam of light having the frequency same as that of the scattered beam of light, that is called as that line is called as the Rayleigh line. Okay, then also we can see the different lines here. Okay, so this lines having the frequency is lower than that of the incident beam of light. Okay, for example here the incident beam of light 50 Hz, here in this lines only the frequency will be 40 or below 40, 30 Hz, like this it is there, means that is called as the Stokes lines. Okay, the frequency is lower than that of the incident beam of light, that is called as the Stokes lines, and the frequency is higher than that of the incident light, that is called as the anti-Stokes lines. Okay, here the maybe the frequency is 100 Hz or more than that. Okay, more than the 50 Hz. That line is called as the anti-Stokes lines. Okay, so what do you mean by Raman scattering? When the monochromatic beam of light is allowed to pass through a gas or liquid or any transparent solid like glass, we can see the scattered beam of light. So in that different lines we can see. Okay, so these lines are called as the Raman lines. Okay, these lines are called as the Raman lines. Okay, we can see the different lines here. That is the same frequencies that of the incident light, that is called as the Rayleigh line. Okay, and the frequency is lower and higher. Okay, that is called as the Stokes and the anti-Stokes lines. Okay, the frequency is lower than that of the incident light, that is called as the Stokes lines, and the frequency is higher than that of the incident light, that is called as the anti-Stokes lines. Okay, have you all understand what is Raman scattering? Next we are going to learn about the lenses. You all know what is lens, isn't it? So many of you are using the spectacles, we are using the lenses. Okay, and also the lenses are used in the microscope, telescope, and also in the slide projectors and all, we are using that lenses. Okay, so now we can see what do you mean by lens. It is a optically transparent medium, okay, bounded with the two refracting surfaces. Okay, this is an optically transparent medium. Transparent medium means the light rays easily can pass through it. Okay, it's an optically transparent medium. Okay, it will be bounded with the two refracting surfaces. Okay, that is called as the lenses. Okay, lens is a optically transparent medium bounded with the two transparent spherical surfaces. Okay, that is called as the lenses. There is a two types of lenses there. Okay, what are the two different types of lens you all learned in the lower classes? Yes, what is that? Concave lens and convex lens. Okay, are the two types of lenses. Okay, concave lens and convex lens. Okay, now how we can identify the two different types of concave and convex lens? Okay, now just I am showing that simple thing. What's that? Everybody is using this one in your home, isn't it? Just for identification, just you have to take it. Okay, so here two surfaces here. Okay, so this one we can consider as the what? Refracting surface. Okay, so two sides is there. Okay, so this one it is the example of convex. Okay, so two types of lenses there. So to identify the convex lens, just you can see the back side of this spoon. Okay, the refracting surface is okay curved outwards. Okay, bulged outwards. That is called as the convex lens. Okay, so like we can identify the refracting surface is curved outwards. That is called as the convex lens. And the refracting surface is curved inwards. Okay, refracting surface is curved inwards means that is called as the concave lens. Okay, the refracting surface is curved outwards, that is called as the convex lens. The refracting surface is curved inwards means that is called as the concave lens. Okay, now we can see the types of lenses. Just observe these pictures here. Okay, so different types of lenses, converging lenses and diverging lenses. Okay, so converging lenses means, okay, listen here, the convex lenses are called as the converging lens. Okay, why we are calling this converging lens means when the light rays are allowed to pass through the convex lenses, all the light rays after refraction it will be meet in one particular point. Okay, it will converge in one particular point. Okay, so we are calling this is the converging lenses. Okay, all the light rays after refraction through this convex lenses, it will meet in one particular point. Okay, so it is called as the converging lenses. Okay, see here, this is the convex lens and this it is called as the double convex lens. Okay, and here it is the plano convex lens. Okay, so here the convex lens, if you are observing this picture, you can identify it is thicker in the middle. Okay, the middle portion it is thicker than at the edges. Okay, so it is curved outwards. The refracting surface is curved outwards. Okay, so convex lenses. So in this plano convex lens, one side is the plane surface. Only one side only is the refracting surface. Okay, it is called as the plano convex lens. Okay, the double side the convex lens is there. It is also called as the biconvex lens. Okay, it is also called as the biconvex lens. And here we can see the positive meniscus. Okay, so this diagram represents the positive meniscus means for the usually for the convex lenses we will say that it is a the refracting surface is the positive meniscus. Why means it is in the middle it will be thicker than at the edges. Okay, so it is also called as the positive meniscus. Okay, so next the next type, that is the diverging lenses. Okay, next diverging lenses. So diverging lenses is nothing but the concave lenses. Okay, what about the concave lens? It is thinner in the middle. Okay, middle side it is thinner than at the edges. Okay, so it is called as the concave lenses. Okay, it is in the middle it is thinner than at the edges. Okay, it is a double concave lens or biconcave lens, and here it is a plano concave lens. Plano concave lens means one side it is the plane surface, the another side is the refracting surface is there. Okay, and for the diverging lenses we will say this is the negative meniscus. Okay, the refracting surface it is the we will say the negative meniscus here. So here it is thinner in the middle. Okay, middle portion it is thinner than at the edges. Okay, so these are the two different types of lenses. Okay, what are the two different types of lenses? Converging lenses and diverging lenses. Okay, so converging lenses is nothing but convex lenses. Diverging lens is nothing but concave lenses. Okay. So convex lens, it is thicker in the middle than at the edges, and concave lenses are thinner in the middle. Okay. So the center portion, it is thinner than at the edges. Okay. Have you all understand the two different types of lenses? Okay. Next we are going to learn the image formation of the concave and the convex lenses. Okay, how the image is forming in the concave and the convex lenses. Okay, so before learning the image formation, we must know certain rules. Okay, if you are knowing the rules only, we can understand the image formation. Okay, so three rules are there. We can learn one by one. Okay, what's the first rule? See, when the ray of light passing through the optic center. Okay, you all know that what is optic center. We already studied in the 9th standard. Is it? What is optic center? The center portion of the lens is called as the optic center. It can be represented by O. Okay, by the letter O. Okay, when the ray of light passes through the optic center, without any deviation, it will continue the same path. Okay. So this is the first rule. So here this is the convex lens and this is the concave lens. Okay. So when the light rays are passing through the optic center in the convex lens as well as in the concave lens, without any deviation, it will goes to the same path. Okay. This is the first rule. Okay. So have you all understood what is the first rule? When the ray of light passing through the optic center without any deviation, it will continue the same path. Okay, that is the first rule. Okay, for convex and concave also same only. Okay, the ray of light without any deviation, it will goes to the same path. Okay, and what is the second rule? Listen. So when the ray of light, it is parallel to the principal axis. Okay, this line represents the principal axis. Okay, the imaginary line drawn through the optic center is called as the principal axis. So when the ray of light is parallel to the principal axis, after refraction, it will goes to the or it will meet the principal focus. Okay, so this point is called as the principal focus. Okay, so here we will represent both the sides. This is the F1 and this is the F2. Okay, these 2 points are called as the principal focus. If the rays are parallel to the principal axis, see here, these two rays, these lines are parallel, isn't it? So the ray of light is parallel to the principal axis means after refraction, it will be what? Pass through the principal focus. This is for the convex lens. And what about for the concave lens? It is a diverging lens, isn't it? Already we studied concave lens is a diverging lens. So when the ray of light passes through the concave lens, see here, this is the refracted ray. So after refraction, it will diverge back and it will be meet on the principal focus. Okay. After refraction, it will diverge back and it will be meet on the principal focus. Okay. This is the second rule. Okay. So when the ray of light parallel to the principal axis and it is passing through the principal focus. Okay. It is for convex lens, and for concave lens, when the ray of light after refraction, it will diverge and it will be meet on the principal focus here. Okay. And the third rule is, see here, the third rule, when the ray of light is directed towards the principal focus. So first itself, it will be passing through this point. What is that point? Principal focus. When the ray of light first itself passing through the principal focus. So after refraction, the rays will be parallel to the principal axis. Okay, after refraction, the rays will be parallel to the principal axis. Okay, so this is for what lens? Convex lens. Okay, then here concave lens, what we can say, the third rule, when the ray of light is directed towards the principal focus, after refraction, it will be parallel to the principal axis. Okay, when the ray of light directed towards the principal focus, after refraction, it will be parallel to the principal axis. Okay, if you know these three rules only, we can identify the image formation. Okay, the next portion we are going to learn how the image will be forming everything. Okay, so what is the first rule? when the ray of light passing through the optic center without any deviation, it will be continue the same path. Okay. And the second rule is the ray is parallel to the principal axis, means after refraction it will be passed through the principal focus. Okay. For a concave lens, it will diverge back and it will meet to the principal focus. The third rule is when the ray of light is passing through the principal focus, after refraction it will be getting parallel to the principal axis. For a concave lens, the ray of light is directed towards the principal axis. After refraction it will be parallel to the principal axis. Okay. Have you all understand the three rules? Yes? Okay. Now we can see the refraction through a convex lenses. Okay. How the refraction takes place and how the image is forming through the convex lens. Okay. The first one, depending upon the position of the object, where is the image is forming. Okay. The first position of the object is we are placing infinity. Infinity means it is far away from the lens. The object is far away from the lens. Okay. So the light rays are coming from the object. The object is far away from the lens. So the position of the images we are taking at infinity. Okay. So parallel beam of light rays are coming from the object. Okay. From the infinite distance. Okay. The parallel beam of light rays are passing through the lenses. According to the rule we learned, the parallel rays means where it will meet on the principal focus. Okay, this point, okay, it is called as the principal focus. Okay, so here this for the refracting surface, here we can mention here F2, and this refracting surface, the principal focus is F1. Okay, so here all the light rays will be meet at this point F2. Okay, this point is called as principal focus. Okay, all the parallel beam of light rays after refraction it will converge here in this point. So this is the principal focus point. Okay, so here only the image is forming. Okay, so the image is forming at the focus. So object is at infinity means the image formed at focus, at principal focus. So when we are observing this image, it is a very small size or point size image. Okay, comparing with the object, it is a small size image, and the nature of the image is a real image. Okay, we can see the real image. Okay, two types of images there, no, real image and a virtual image. So here, so the real image is formed here. Okay, the object is at infinity means the image formed at F2 or at the focus. And what about the size of the image? It is a point size image or smaller image. Okay, comparing with the object, it is very small size. The image size is very small. Okay, where is the image is forming? At focus. So the first point, the object is at infinity means the image is at focus, and the size of the image is a point size or very small size. Okay. Second one, if the object position is beyond C. Okay, so here C denotes center of curvature. Center of curvature means here we will mention the point optic center O. Next here F1, here 2F1. Okay, so double to this value. Okay, from the optic center to F1, we will say that is the focal length. Okay, so double to the focal length. That point is called as the 2F1. Okay, that point is called as the 2F1. So this 2F1, it is also called as center of curvature. So we are mentioning the letter C here. Okay. If you are placing the object, this AB denotes the object. If you are placing the object beyond C. Okay. So beyond C means beyond 2F1 we are placing the object. See here, the first ray parallel to the principal axis. So the ray is parallel to the principal axis means after refraction it will pass through the principal focus. Okay, the first ray will be passing through the principal focus, and the next ray it will be passing through the optic center. Okay, the next ray passing through the optic center. Okay, so the next ray passing through the optic center. Now the two refracted rays are meeting in this point. So here only the image is forming. So the image formed between F1 and so the image formed between F2 and 2F2. Okay, the image is formed between F2 and 2 f2. Okay, when we are comparing that object, the image is what? Almost same size of the image we can get here. Okay, the second one, object is placed beyond C means the image formed between f2 and 2f2. Object is placed beyond the center of curvature or beyond 2f1 means we are getting the image between f1 and 2f2. We are getting the image between f1 and 2f2. Okay, the nature of the image is a real image, and real, it is an inverted image. Real inverted image. It is a small, when we are comparing with the object, it is a what? So almost it will be equal size. Okay, almost it is a equal size. Okay. The third one is, if you are placing the object at center of curvature. Okay, if you are placing the object at 2f1 or at the center of curvature, if you are exactly placing the object at the center of curvature, where we can get the image. See here, first the parallel ray, after refraction, it will pass to the principal focus. Okay, so here we can get one refracted ray, and the next ray, it will be passing through the optic center. Okay, when the ray of light passing through the optic center, okay, so without any deviation, it will continue the same path. Now the two refracted rays will meet in this point. Okay, so here only the image is forming. So which point the image is forming? At 2f2. So object is placed at 2f1 means the image is formed at 2f2. So the 2f1 and 2f2, it is the center of curvature. So the object is placed at center of curvature. The image also forming at the center of curvature. Okay, to the next side. Okay, so here left side we are keeping the object, we are getting the image in the right side. Okay, so what about the size of the image? Okay, same size of the image. Okay, as per the object we can get the same size of the image here. Okay, and the image is real and inverted image. Okay, the nature of the image is real and inverted. Okay, if you are placing the object at the center of curvature, you are getting the image also at the center of curvature. Okay, so what about the size of the image? Same size as per the object. Okay, as per the object size, same size of the image, and the nature of the image is real and inverted. Okay, the next one we are going to learn, when the object is placed between F and C. So F denotes what? Principal focus. Okay, and C denotes the center of curvature. In between these 2 points, if you are placing the object, where we can get the image. Okay, the object is placed between f1 and 2f1. Okay, the object is placed between f and 2f1 means center of curvature. So when we are, where we can get the image? The image is formed. Where is the image? The image is formed between the beyond 2f2. Okay, the image is formed beyond 2f2 only we can get the image. Okay, so object is placed between f and c means we can get the image beyond 2f2. Okay, and when we are comparing that image, okay, with the object, the size of the image is somewhat larger. Okay, when we are comparing with the object size, the size of the image is larger. Okay, so when we are placing the object between F and principal focus and the center of curvature, we can get the image beyond C. We can get the image beyond C. Okay, what about the size of the image? It is the large size. Okay, we can get the large size of the image. Okay, and it is a real and inverted image. Okay, it is a real and inverted image. Okay. Next, the object question is at focus. If you are placing the object at the focus, where we can get the image. Okay. See here, the object is placed at the principal focus. The object AB is placed at the principal focus. So from the object, the light rays parallel to the principal axis, where it is meeting through the principal focus. Okay, next side, the F2 point, the rays will be going. Then next rays, it is passing through the optic center. Okay, so here these two rays, it never meet anywhere here. Okay, the two rays, it never be meeting anywhere here. So the image is forming at infinity. The image is formed at infinite distance only we can get the image. Okay, it is not nearer to this lens. Okay. So object is at the focus means the image is forming at infinity, and the image is a real image, inverted image, and it will be comparing with the object. It is a very big size or larger image we can get here. Okay. So object is placed at focus means the image formed at infinity. The image is formed at the infinite distance. Okay. And the last one is the object is placed between the focus and the optic center. If you are placing the object between the focus and the optic center, in between these 2 points, if you are placing the object, where we can get the image. Okay. So till now that 5 cases we studied, always we are getting the image is a what type of image? It is a real image. Okay. Only this case alone we can get the image. It is a virtual image, because here the image is formed same side as that of the object. Okay. Where we are placing the object left side, the same side only we can get the image also. Okay. So here the light rays, first it will be passing through the optic center. Okay, and it will be what the refraction rate will be meeting here, and the parallel rays after refraction it will diverge back, and it will, the 2 rays it will be meet here at this point. Okay, so the image is formed between the focus and the center of curvature. Okay, where is the image is formed between the focus and the center of curvature. What about the size of the image? The size of the image is the image is larger than that of the object. Okay, larger size, and we are getting the image in the same side as that of the object. So this type of image is a virtual image. It is a not real image. It is a virtual image. Okay. So the object is at infinity means we are getting the image at the focus. Okay, that is the first case we studied. If the object is placed infinite distance far away from the lens means we are getting the image is the image at the focus. Okay, this image is a very point size image. Okay, point size image. It is a real image, real and inverted image. Okay, the second one, object position is beyond C means we are getting the images between the focus and the C. Okay, between F1 and 2F2. Otherwise, between the focus and the center of curvature. And the third one, if the object is placed at C means image also forming at C, and same size of the image here we can get. It is a real and inverted image. Okay, and the fourth one is if the object is placed between F and C. Okay, between F and the center of curvature means we can get the image beyond C. Okay, we can get the images beyond C. Okay. Next, the object is at F means where we can get the image at infinite distance. Okay, it is not nearer to the lens. Okay, at focus means the image is forming at infinity. Okay, the size of the image is an enlarged image. Okay, it is a very big size image when we are comparing with the object. Okay, the real and the inverted image. Okay, the last one, if you are placing the object between the focus and the center of curvature, we can get the image at the same side of the object, and this image is bigger than that of the object. It is a virtual image. Okay, in this case alone it is a virtual image. Remaining everything, the 5 cases, the image is a what type of image? It is a real image. Okay, real and inverted. Here it is the virtual and erect image. Okay, how the object is like that we can getting the image. So it is a virtual image. Okay, have you all understand? Next we are going to learn the refraction through a concave lens. Okay, how the image is forming in a concave lens. Okay, here only 2 cases only there. Okay, so first one, if the object is at infinity. Okay, the object is at infinity means where we can get the image. So you all know that this concave lens, it is a diverging lens. Concave lens is the diverging lens. So as per the rule we studied, when the rays are parallel to the principal axis means after refraction it will meet on the principal focus, isn't it? It will diverge back and it will meet on the principal focus. So the object the placed at infinity, it is far away from the lens. So the light rays are coming from the object and it will be incident on the concave lens. okay, the parallel rays after refraction, it will diverge back and it will meet at the principal focus. So here only image is formed. Okay, object is at infinity means the image is formed at the focus. Okay, object placed at infinity means the image is at the focus. Okay, and the size of the image, it is a very small size. Okay, our point size image only here we are getting. Okay, the next one is the object is placed anywhere on the principal axis. Okay, at a finite distance. Okay, with the from the lens to at a finite particular distance only we are keeping the object. Any place on the principal axis, if you are placing the object, where we can get the image. Okay, the object placed is anywhere on the principal axis at a finite distance. Okay, so here where we can get the image means, listen here. First, from the object to the light rays, it will be what? Parallel to the principal axis. After refraction, it will diverge back and it will meet here on the principal focus. The second ray passing through the optic center O. Okay. So without any deviation, it will goes to the same path. The two refracted rays is meeting here. Which place it is meeting? In between O and F. Okay. In between O and principal focus, optic center and the principal focus. In between these two points only the two refracted rays are meeting. So here only the image is formed. Okay, the image formed between the focus and the optic center. Okay, so in the concave lens the image is formed between the focus and the optical center. The concave lens, it is always the image is a what type of image? It is a virtual image. Okay, always concave lens we are getting the virtual image. It is a not real image. Okay, but in the convex lens most of the cases we will get what type of images? Real image. For concave lens we will get the image, it is a virtual image. Okay, at infinity means we can get the image at the focus and object is anywhere on the principal axis. With a particular distance if you are keeping on the principal axis, we can get the image between the optic center and the principal focus. Okay, have you all understand the image formation of a concave lens and a convex lens? Okay, now we are going to learn the application of convex and concave lenses. Okay, first application of convex lens. What are the uses of convex lens? Okay, the first one is the convex lens is used as a camera lenses. Okay, you all know that in the camera what type of lens is there? Convex lens. Okay, because the convex lens only to be forming what type of image? Real images. Okay, so it will be used as the camera lenses. Convex lens, it is used as the camera lenses. The next one, it is used as a magnifying lenses. You know the watchmakers and all, they are using the magnifying lenses to see the tiny particles. Okay, so in that magnifying lenses also, what type of lenses there? Convex lenses there. Okay. And the next one, it is used in making microscope, telescope, and also in the slide projectors. Okay, the projectors also, it is convex lenses there. Okay, it is used to making microscope, telescope, and also in the slide projectors also this type of lens, convex lenses there. Okay, and the last one is it is used to correct one of the defect of vision, that is called as the hypermetropia. Okay, about that we will learn later. Okay, so there will be two different types of defect is there. Okay, so to correct this defect, okay, hypermetropia, okay, long sight problem, okay, it can be cured by using what type of lens? Convex lenses. Okay, so what are the application of convex lenses? Can you say once again? It is used as the camera lenses, and it is used in the magnifying lenses. The third one is it is used to make microscope, telescope, and the slide projectors. Okay, and also it is used to correct the defect of vision called hypermetropia. Okay, so this also it will be corrected by using convex lenses. These are the application of convex lenses. Okay. Next we are going to learn the application of concave lenses. Okay, what are the application of concave lenses? The first one is it is used as eye lens of Galilean telescope. You all know that the telescope was first invented by Galileo Galilei, isn't it? So from his telescope, he used as the eye lens as the concave lens. Okay, eye lens and objective lens is there. Okay, in that eye lens, he used as the concave lens. Okay, and the second one, it is used in wide angle spy hole in doors. Okay, in the doors, the center portion, they will fix that concave lens. Okay, and if you are looking from inside, who are all coming outside, easily we can identify. Okay, if anybody is knocking the door, which person is standing there, that and all we can identify easily. Okay, mostly foreign countries, they are using that wide angle spy hole in the doors. Okay. The next one is, it is used to correct the defect of vision called myopia. Okay, already I told different types of defect is there. So this one short sight problem. Okay, myopia can be corrected by using concave lenses. Okay, so these are the uses of concave lenses. Okay, first one, it is used in the Galilean's telescope. Okay, it is act as the eye lens. The second one, it is used in the wide angle spy hole indoors, and also it is used to correct the defect of vision. What's the defect name? Myopia. Okay, myopia can be corrected by using concave lenses. Okay, how you will understand the application of concave and convex lenses? Okay, now all of you take your book and just mark what we learned till now. Okay, so all of you take the page number 19. The first question, today we learned what is Tyndall scattering, is it? So mark this question, Tyndall scattering, page number 19, second paragraph. Okay, second paragraph. The scattering of light rays by the colloidal particles in the colloidal solution is called as the Tyndall scattering or Tyndall effect. Okay, have you marked? The next one is, what is Raman scattering? The same page number 19, second paragraph, mark it. The scattered light contains some additional frequencies other than the incident frequency. This is known as Raman scattering or Raman effect. Okay, in that fourth paragraph, just mark it. What is Raman lines? What are called Raman lines? What are called Raman lines? The spectral lines having frequencies equal to the incident ray frequency is called a Rayleigh line, and the spectral lines which are having frequencies other than that of the incident frequency is called as the Raman lines. Okay. The next one, what is called Stokes lines and anti-Stokes lines. The next to continue, the lines having frequencies lower than the incident frequency is called Stokes lines, and the lines having frequency higher than that of the incident frequency are called as the anti-Stokes lines. Then, what do you mean by lenses? The same page number, lens paragraph. A lens is an optically transparent medium bounded by two spherical refracting surfaces or one plane and one spherical surface. Then what are the two types of lenses? Next question, what are the two types of lenses? Just you have to mark convex or biconvex lens paragraph and concave or biconcave lens paragraph. Okay. Then what is plano convex lens and what is meant by plano concave lens? Okay. Next heading, same page number. So before this diagram, this two paragraph, just mark it. Okay. Plano convex lens and what is meant by plano concave lens. The next paragraph, important question. What are the rules to be followed? The image formation of a lenses. See page number 20. The first rule, second rule and the third rule. Okay. So this ray diagram all of you should draw in your notes. Okay. And you have to practice this diagram. So rule 1, rule 2 and rule 3. Mark the question. What are the rules to be followed? What are the rules to be followed due to the image formation of a concave and a convex lenses? The next one, the refraction through a convex lens. Explain the refraction through a convex lens. See page number 20. The rules also the same, page number 20. So refraction through a convex lenses. Okay. The sixth diagram is there. Okay. Object at infinity, object placed beyond C, object placed at C, and object placed between F and C means where is the image. Object placed at the focus means where is the image. And object placed between the principal focus and optical center means where is the image is formed. Okay. So this 6 diagram you should draw in a note and you have to practice. Okay. The next question, page number 21. What are the application of convex lenses? What are the application of convex lenses? Okay. 4 points is there. Just you have to mark it. Convex lenses are used as the camera lenses. It is used as the magnifying lenses. And it is used to microscope, telescope and slide projectors, and also it is used to treat the defect of hypermetropia. Okay, application of convex lens. Next one, same page number 21. Explain the refraction through a concave lens. Explain the refraction through a concave lens. The 2 points, okay, object at infinity, this diagram. Next page number 22. Object anywhere on the principal axis at a finite distance. Okay, this 2 diagram and this paragraph, just mark it and you have to learn. The last one is, what are the application of concave lenses? Page number 22. 3 points is there. What are the application of concave lenses? Okay. So concave lenses used as the eye lens in the Galilean telescope, and also it is used as the wide angle spine dose, and also it is used to treat the defect of myopia. Okay. So all these questions today's portion, just you have to learn well and you have to write in the note. Okay. Thank you.